Welcome to Last Match Standing, the podcast where we review, relive, and rank the 100 greatest wrestling matches of all time. As always, I'm Spencer.
I'm Paul.
I'm Landon.
And I'm your friendly neighborhood amalgamation, Korey Konstantine.
Korey Konstantine is back and better than ever for our Season 3 finale. Thanks for joining us, man.
Oh, you're generous. Better than ever.
Yeah, we thought it would be a great idea to have a professional opinion on what could be a really consequential episode for our ranking. So, Korey, definitely appreciate you being here. Before we get going, a quick reminder, definitely follow us on our socials on Twitter and Facebook at Last Match Cast. You can also email us if you have any match suggestions or just thoughts on the show. You can do that at lastmatchstanding@gmail.com. And of course, we would love if you would rate, review, and subscribe anywhere that you listen to your podcast, and we appreciate that as always. Paul, I know that this is a consequential episode for you as well. Is that right?
Yes. I have an earth-shattering announcement that will shake the very foundations of reality that you hold so dearly.
How fitting for a season finale episode.
Yeah, I hope there's a cliffhanger, quite frankly.
Yes.
But before we get into the meat and potatoes of re-ranking and all that fun stuff, we have so much to get to. We want to flashback ever so slightly to our episode 60, Kurt Angle, Samoa Joe from Genesis. And we were grateful to get a patron ranking, some feedback from Joey, one of our patrons. And we didn't get a chance to put it on the episode, so we wanted to give him his time right now and see if that has any effect on how we ranked that Angle and Joe match, which going into right now, it sits at 22. So let's take a listen now to what Joey had to say.
Salutations, Latch Match Standing crew. Let's get right to it. These two men are the reason I'm a wrestling fan, and this match is a big reason why. I saw it live on pay-per-view as a kid, and I'm not going to lie, I was never really that big on the story going in, other than the weird Kurt's package angle they did on that one episode of Impact that was absolutely hilarious. And I was never that big on the finish. A little too close to home, little too much bad times for Kurt Angle for me to really enjoy it. But my God, the match itself, the atmosphere, the entrances, the physicality, and the pure weight of all the gold on the line gives it a feeling of just weight. It makes it feel like such a big deal. And with these two people involved, it's not hard to see why. Going down the list, it's real easy to compare it to like Joe versus Punk or, Styles Joe and Christopher Daniels. I can't see myself ranking it as high as those. I can't see myself ranking it as high as Zack Sabre Jr. and Ospreay, which is right under it, or Cena versus Michaels. Tiger Mask versus Dynamite Kid, however, I look at that match and I see something from a different decade that, while spectacular, just doesn't hold that level of weight this match holds. So that in mind, and, really the point in the board where it's at and the people involved, I've got to rank this match as the 16th greatest wrestling match of all time, tentatively. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I can't wait for the next episode.
Joey, our guy. I love that he used the word tentatively, because that's how I feel about every time we rank anything.
I love that he used the word hold the weight.
That's right. That's a Landon
does.
favorite.
Twice.
It does.
I do love that he mentioned that these are two guys that are part of the reason why he watches wrestling.
Yeah.
And
Also,
I think that speaks volumes to those two guys in the ring.
I love how he mentioned it's like some dark times for Kurt. I'm like, oh, well, you went on every way to not talk about that on the episode.
Yeah, it was, but in considering that and seeing the quality and the level of wrestling that he was able to put out on that match speaks a lot to that, time period and what he's able to do. So, I think we had a similar idea about this match. We had a very similar conversation, hit on some of those points last episode.
Well, Landon, that's smack dab in the middle of the range we had.
It really is.
Exactly. So, Joey, again, thank you so much for sending that in. It's duly noted, and I'm really curious to see if we're going to lean closer to 16 and away from 22 as we hit the back half of this episode when we re-rank.
And I got to say, Joey, you are now the second person that will be invited into my Lord's table.
Wow.
Uh-oh.
Wow, the second person.
The Dangerous Alliance?
And that's not even
copyrighted, so we're not calling that anymore. I don't want to get
the
another,
dangerous conglomerate.
Hey,
call it that.
Now we're talking.
Well, I'm
That's
no
good
longer
stuff.
Paulie Dangerous. Now I'm just Lord.
The Dangerous
Paulie.
Amalgamation.
Oh.
Oh, hold on now.
It's a lot of
Copyrighted.
syllables
That-
there.
Copyrighted. Oh shit! Gimmick infringement.
I got an uncle who's a lawyer. We'll get the patent on that right now.
All right. As we were also talking about, we had a double episode Monday last week, which
We
was
did.
really, really
We've never done that
awesome.
before.
Yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was really, really fun. We got some pretty cool feedback, not just from patrons, but from also on Twitter as well. And I think that there was something that Kick Cloud said about Jerry Lynn and RVD that I thought was awesome. Landon, what did Kick Clouds on Twitter have to tell us?
Yeah, he said RVD once said people would come up to me and say, "Hey, can we do some of that RVD Jerry Lynn shit?" And I'd say, "No, we can't." Thank you, Kick Clouds. Oh my God, what a great little piece. I mean,
love
that makes a lot of sense, right?
It does.
Because when there are two people in the ring, you can't replicate what two people could come up with. And maybe Korey, can you maybe shed some light on that? As obviously, pro wrestler yourself, what is it like whenever you work with somebody who is just so unique and you just click with? And how does that change? It's rare, right?
It's rare. And that's the stuff that's going to elevate your game tremendously. And I think that exactly what y'all are talking about right now with RVD and Jerry Lynn, like you're talking about it. And those two specifically, not RVD and Sabu, not RVD and whomever, right? We're talking about these specific two. So, I mean, you think Shawn Taker, Ric Flair and Dusty. I mean, Ric Flair, you can go with at least three people. So maybe that's not the best example. But you know what I'm saying, though. Like, it can elevate your game. I've been in almost 10 years. I've come across 2, maybe 3 people that, like, you're like, okay, yeah. So it's crucial, vital.
For me, it was 1.
That's got to be a special feeling. That has got to be. Landon's like, was it me? It wasn't. That's got to be a special feeling when you get that almost once in a lifetime sort of chemistry in the ring.
It is like, and I mean, I'm like, I don't talk to the guy on the regular.
Yeah.
Shout out Daniel Crimson Bertrand.
Hey.
But he was like one of the first ones that, like I had good chemistry with, and like every time we went out, crowd was hot. Dude, I was only like a year and a half in, maybe. And yeah, I mean that one's just like off the top of my head, just because I was the first one, and like we still had to have that bond, even though like we don't keep up with each other per se, but it's just there. So
every time you step in the ring together, it's the same.
I mean, even if you just like see each other in passing, you're just kind of like, you just have like, you're smiling on the inside because you're like, yeah, we did that.
That is awesome, man. That's so good. The other episode that we dropped last week, like we said, was Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe. And unfortunately, we heard from Podcast Hitman.
Yeah, unfortunately.
What did he have to say?
He had some excellent information to give. So
This
we
is
talked
good.
about how the headbutt was like the biggest thing in TNA at that point.
Yeah.
He gave us the top 3 moments in TNA. So other big moments in TNA would have to be Elix Skipper's amazing tightrope cage walk into her Frankenstein off the top. That is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
The other being the amazing Bully Ray heel turn. Holy shit.
That was really good.
And it was like a very long, slow burn.
Like, I've been sleeping with Brooke Hogan and...
Well, they got married. I mean, we all know that a marriage in a wrestling ring is forever. And then, of course, the number 3 was...
You're right. The internet is forever. Sorry, you might have to say top 3 again, or last 3.
Oh, the headbutt.
Yeah. Do you guys agree? Is there another moment that sort of reaches those top 3, or would you say definitively Impact Wrestling, TNA, those are the 3 biggest moments in their history?
Destination X 2006, the the Last Rites match.
The Fire Russo match.
The fans chanted Fire Russo the entire 15 minutes.
God, I love Chris Sabin reaching the pinnacle and winning the TNA World Championship. I'm a huge Chris Sabin fan, and that was a really big moment for me. Just seeing how much he gave to that X Division and TNA as a whole was a big moment for me. I don't know if anyone else really watched TNA in this room, but that was huge.
But that was it.
He once wrestled a match in a diaper.
I could have lived without knowing that.
Was that top 3? No? Bummer.
I mean, I don't know of a lot, and the ones that I do know are kind of like usually Jeff Hardy, but yeah, for better or worse, sadly.
Fantastic. Jeff Hardy versus Raven inside Six Sides of Steel was brutal.
I mean,
that
you were just talking about the slow burn for Bully Ray, right? And that was the big one whenever he had the heel turn and went over. So, And then, dude,
Was
I
that
don't know
company.
about y'all, but Jay Lethal and Ric Flair,
You guys
The
come
woo-off.
out here like you're the
he is
fourth
so
horseman.
good.
The woo
If you close your eyes, man, you don't even know that's Jay Lethal.
What I love about it is that Ric Flair clearly didn't know how good the impression was because he's like, oh. He's like, that's really fucking good. He's like, oh shit, the camera's going. He kept having to get angry and he's like marking out because his kid's such a good job. I love that shit. That's my line. That's my line.
I think you could probably look at my YouTube search history at any point in the last 5 years, and that would probably be a recent video that had played at some point
Hell
for
yeah.
me.
Hell
You know,
You
like
guys
it's
are
just
certainly no
so good.
four horsemen.
Thank you, Podcast Hitman,
Yeah, I
for
appreciate
bringing
that.
that to
You're
our
gonna
attention.
find
That's
out
great.
jumping on's a lot easier than jumping off. Wow, that's my line. Sorry.
Kick Clouds as well. Thank you so much for the feedback. We appreciate that too.
Do y'all ever just like pat Paul on the back for just being like just a database of like just
No.
sound bites?
They
That
never-
he,
no,
I mean,
they don't.
they don't.
Look,
but Paul's feeling
I'll say
unappreciated.
it. I'll say it now. I'm a fan of the pod, and this dude pops me like at least once an episode,
Right?
So
Thank you.
I have never met anyone with a bank of impressions or wrestling knowledge at all like Paul. It's
right.
Speaking of
one a
impressions,
kind.
Not only does he
you can,
know things, he reenacts things
That's it.
to a
of
certain
impression-
degree of
okay.
accuracy.
Well, speaking of impressions, I mean, if you guys want one, there's a couple people on Twitter, on Patreon have not asked for them, even though they've totally are in the right tier. So
That's right.
there's
That's right.
There's at least 4 patrons. Only one of them's actually asked for one. And I'm like, hey guys,
Yeah. Patrons.
Over here preparing
Patrons,
for 'em.
if you are a 2-time Slammy Award winner, you get any impression you want. Shout it out, and we'll make Paul do it. So
as long as
Bring
it's
it
not
on.
offensive, I'll
bring
do
it on.
So one of my favorite things about our season finales are our surveys that we do, right? We get some awesome feedback from our listeners, not only about the rankings, but about other aspects of our show. And one of the things on our survey that we put this time around, which, by the way, thanks to everyone who filled that out, really appreciate it. Really awesome feedback. One of the things that we put in was a question and answer sort of bit, so that we could have some questions that if you guys had anything you wanted to know from us, what would those things be? And
Yeah,
so,
we've done the Q&A thing in the past, and we had some really good feedback on that, and people have asked us to do it again. So here we go.
Yeah, here we go. The first one actually isn't even from the survey. It was from a patron, possibly the best named patron that we have, arguably, debatably.
Swift Nipples?
Swift Nipples.
Oh, I love Swift Nipples.
That's right. Corey's face was hurt gold in that moment. Swift Nipples said, he asked us, do we rewatch previous matches that we've ranked to help us rank the current match that we are working on? So, do we rewatch matches?
Yes, I do every single time. That's why I always have 1 or 2 matches that I'm ready to throw as a possible similarity. And more times than not, I find that some of the older matches that we ranked really high, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that anymore. That's why a lot of times I'm trying to kind of call out certain matches. I'm like, I don't know if I agree with this anymore. But this is not the platform to be like, no, move it. But this is today.
Today is.
That's
for
what
sure.
today is for. So yeah, if I think a match is like super similar to something we've already covered, I'll go back and watch that, and just so before I get on blind and just start thinking where could it go, I'll see if I really think this is better than that. It helps a lot. And then after it's ranked, sometimes I go back and based on its position, I'll look at what's above and below it just to sort of solidify my thought. And yeah, absolutely. Good question.
Yeah, sometimes I agree, sometimes I don't.
It's tough because we have 60 matches now, right? So going into it, we have to be thinking about, there's 59 other matches to think about when we're in terms of ranking.
And there's
that's-
no possible way we could keep 800 hours of wrestling in our head.
Right,
And
right.
also-
Because a lot of times when we rank things, it's about the little intricacies that happen, the little things, and sometimes that's tough to remember.
Yeah, and also 4 of our matches are over an hour long.
Yeah,
Good point.
So I would say that the short answer to your question, Swift Nipples, is yes, absolutely. We go back and rewatch matches for sure. Okay, so to the survey questions now. We'll just kind of rattle them off one at a time. How's that? The first one is, how has your perception of wrestling changed since starting the pod?
Great question. I really think I've really grown to appreciate pacing and more of these slower matches. You know what I mean? And some
absolutely.
people, because some people are gonna, knock on, a match where you see a lot of rest holds, but if you go back and
it's not
watch
a rest hold if you're working it.
Exactly,
Thank
Korey.
you.
Exactly. And so going to see these greatest matches of all time and seeing why people are saying these things, you do see a lot of rest holds, but there is a purpose behind it. They're trying to tell a story.
And how often do we say, yeah, like he had him in this armbar, but look at the way he's working the shoulder, and look at, based on something
Look
that
at Bret
happened
Hart
previously in the
matches.
match.
That's what he always did.
And
Yeah.
specifically, Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat.
Yes.
That match is, number 4 on our list right now?
It is.
And it's a long match, and a ton of it is rest holds. But as Korey said, they're working it, and there's a rhyme or reason to every move that they make. And I think that's probably the biggest change that I've had in how I approach watching wrestling.
It's no secret I watched the wrong Zack Sabre Jr. Will Ospreay match, and I was like, oh my God, this match is amazing. Then I watched the correct one, and this was like, fuck this, the rematch is better. Until I rewatched them both back to back to back. I watched them both 3 times in a row. I'm like, no, the rematch is fun the first time you watch it. You watch it again, there's no selling, they're moving too fast, and the moves have very little to no meaning. Whereas the match in Japan, they work every single hold, they don't repeat themselves, and they take their time.
So I think you're going to have some people adding you, and that is at Paul Tialtazan.
That's
At
right.
me all you want, I'm right, you're wrong.
But I
Send your hate tweets.
Send them to me.
You know what? Start right now. Don't even wait for the rest of the
Pause
pod.
the episode. Send your tweets. So I want to say for me.
No, keep it rolling. Because he's going to keep saying
There's
shit that's
gonna
going
be-
to make you mad. You're going to
Oh,
need
I
more than
will.
280 characters.
But for real though, my perception has changed a lot. I find that I enjoy some of the older matches a lot more than some of the more modern stuff. I have really thoroughly enjoyed watching stuff from the 70s and 80s more than I thought I was going to. The super like more recent things, there's a few exceptions. For instance, Ospreay and Zack Sabre Jr. That was a breath of fresh air. But I don't watch a lot of current modern wrestling. I watch AEW, but I don't watch Impact right now. I don't really watch WWE. I watch a little bit of Japan. It's just my tastes have changed. So
I think for me, as the only person talking on this podcast right now that doesn't have some type of actual wrestling experience, which I know if you look at a picture of all of us, that would surprise you. But
Look, a great referee.
I would make a killer referee.
what a compliment.
I don't know how to take it, but I'm just going to move right past
It's
it.
like you see a lineup of folks to be like, that's
I
a
look at
wrestler,
you
that's
and
a
I see
wrestler,
lot
that's a
of Earl
wrestler.
Hebner.
A lot
You would
of
make a
Earl
great
Hebner.
referee.
Hey, I'm a twin, so that.
you can
Yeah,
fit in.
there you go.
So what you're saying is you're gonna go sell merch out of the boot of your car.
That's exactly what I'm saying. The point I want to make, though, is that there's so much wrestling now more than ever.
There is. It's too much.
Right? And we've covered 60 of the greatest matches to ever happen. And I just feel like it makes... I don't want to say that it makes everything else look mediocre, but it makes me appreciate these matches so much.
Yeah.
Because there's so much wrestling out there. And for us to be able to highlight these episodes and do a deep dive into each one of these matches makes me appreciate the intricacies of it. And I
And I think that you bring up a really good point. It's easy to get jaded whenever you're watching nothing but what people consider is the best matches ever, and then you go back and try and watch something else. Like, it's really difficult for me to just watch Raw and SmackDown every week
Same.
now. Like,
Well-
it's so hard because the quality isn't there if you're looking at literally everything else we watch for the show is just greatest. It's hard.
Well, then that's why I enjoy the WrestleMania reviews so much, because some of them are shit.
some of them are so bad.
Some of them are so fucking bad. We came off of like 3 back to back to back that were just bad.
Just off the top, you know, which were the bad ones?
Oh god. Okay. So that stretch.
3
from-
location one?
Oh, that's the worst.
That was that WrestleMania 2?
Yeah.
That's right
2
now
is-
our lowest ranked
oh.
Mania.
Then
out of
you
the
watch
first
3,
16.
which is better. Then I feel like 4 and 5 are both mixed bags. 6 is very fun. 7, 8, we liked it. Spencer hated it. 9, 10, and 11 were like, guys, no. I
Yeah,
can't.
our bottom 3 I think is a good place to look. Our bottom 3 is WrestleMania 2, WrestleMania 9, and WrestleMania 2000.
So bad.
Ooh.
Really?
Yeah.
Go watch it again.
Okay.
Rewatch it.
Watch it again.
All
Watch
right,
it again.
all right.
Watch it
All
again. Trust me.
Okay, so I
I
want to
mean, No Mercy was better than that video game anyway. So
True.
Hey, there you go. I want to take the question that was asked and flip it a little bit for Korey. How has wrestling changed for you at watching it since you've been a professional wrestler?
So when there's something about jaded, right? So I do my hair like generally like a neon green. I might change that to jade green because that's kind of how I'm feeling sometimes. When it's good, dude, it's really, really, really good. When it's not good, or when you just can't turn wrestler brain off and watch something, like you can't watch it as a fan as much anymore. Whether or not you want to, it's a lot more difficult. But I would say that when something is really good, I can watch it as a fan. That's kind of my barometer. There was other stuff that we were talking about earlier about pacing of matches and selling and making stuff mean something. And some of that is definitely lacking. Don't ever say you're going to throw a super kick in a match with me unless it's the finish. And I'm just going to leave it at that.
Not a Young Bucks fan.
Whoa. Hold on. They've done something with it.
Yes.
What I'm saying is when a super kick is a punch.
Right. Good point.
No.
It totally breaks the move for the rest of the show.
I think
like how Shawn Michaels is not irate all the time is beyond me.
I was going to say, I think I used it twice.
I threw one in a match, and I never throw one. And I did it instinctually. When I tell you I was down on myself through the rest of the match, just saying, I just threw a super kick. I just need to retire now. Like,
I'm sorry. I love you.
It wasn't the finish. It was just random, and I felt terrible.
I used it twice. Both times were like big near falls, and I never threw it again.
Okay, so I wanted to switch gears just a little bit. We've mentioned sort of video games. So I have two sort of video game questions for us. The first is, and this is sort of a two-parter, but when you were a kid watching wrestling, you wanted to be a wrestler or whatever, what gimmick did you give yourself? And when that plays into the video game is, assuming you gave that gimmick to your created wrestler,
I did.
right, on the video game. So what gimmick were you giving your created superstars?
Okay, it's my created wrestler gimmick. I just seen The Godfather. This is probably around the time SmackDown Shut Your Mouth had come out. So I was about 12 or 13, and I wanted to make a wise guy Italian wrestler named Paul Luigi. And I only did it for like a month. My first character was this Paul Luigi. I came out with like the blazer on, and I had like these very, very almost like silk looking, like very, very shiny black tights. And I came out to Dean Martin music.
What you're saying is the start of every future episode in season 4 is going to be Dean Martin and Paul Luigi, because that is gold.
I love it.
Yeah, I did. It was always my character. Always made him.
That's
Nowadays, funny. I don't try to make myself. I just try to make some random generic wrestler that will never get over, but always make him get over.
He'll never get over. So my very, very, very first caw I ever did was Lando Dollar. Literally dollar sign.
What game, though? What game?
Hell yeah.
What game?
WWE Raw.
Okay.
On the Xbox?
Or was it
no.
At that point, it was like...
Raw is War. For Nintendo 64?
No.
Okay.
No. Oh, maybe it was, actually, now that you mention it. It looked like you were in some kind of garage, and then you went into the creator wrestling thing. But yeah, Lando Dollar was my first gimmick, and I would totally, and I had like, what was it called? I took out, I think at one point I took out the dollar because it didn't make any sense. But
because then you've been plural, right? Landos.
Right, and so it looked like a plural because of the dollar sign.
Because it didn't make any sense.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
You're way ahead of the game, though, man. Like, Ty Dolla $ign just popped up.
Man.
But whenever I actually got into like, backyard wrestling and like actually, physically trying to wrestle with my friends, I was like, okay, what am I actually going to call myself? And I used this all the way up until I just decided to stop wrestling, was Ace. And I always loved that sort of, the cards, and, you put a big old spade on my ass and, like
Phrasing.
Ace.
That's good. That's really good. I mean, I don't know. I was never super outlandish with gimmicks with my created characters. I was always, because I've always sort of been I mean, now I'm not as frail and thin as I was growing up, but I was, a very average, nerdy kind of kid growing up. And so who I was in a video game was always just, some sort of stronger version of that. So just, blonde hair, generally speaking, was really all it was. Korey, what about you, man?
So I don't know how I remember this, because I don't remember anything generally. But so my first would have been No Mercy, as well it should be.
Greatest video game wrestling ever?
It's up there, man. It's up there.
Really good.
That's a good
Like
question.
that creative wrestler that now that we're talking about it was like, it was ahead of its time for sure. So this dude's name was Sky for some reason. I don't know why, but it was. Blue, as you do. I want to say he had Hardy pants.
Everyone did.
Yep. I don't know if we rocked the like the Hardy style shirt, or if we had like a cutoff blue, obviously blue hair. He would have been, ironically enough, kind of like a mix between American Badass Undertaker and Jeff Hardy, because I'm pretty sure he did Swanton Bomb and A Last Ride.
Hell yeah.
And it's all full circle, since that was the last episode I did.
That's perfect. That is
No
perfect.
kidding, yeah.
The other video game question that we got is, what is your favorite non-wrestling video game? And I think this is really, really interesting. I'm curious what you guys have to say. Resident Evil? I definitely knew that about you, Paul, for sure.
Yeah, I think I've played Resident Evil 2 probably well over 1,000 times.
Yeah, I appreciate getting this question because we're, I don't know if we've technically announced it or not, but if you've ever taken a peek at our Patreon feed, we are dabbling in the thought of maybe doing a Twitch stream in the future. And so if we were going to dabble into maybe doing some video games for you guys, so I do appreciate that question. I think the game that I played more than any other game, like more hours into it, probably Kingdom Hearts, first one from PS2.
Yeah,
I play that game pretty much once or twice a year.
I knew you were going to say WWE Crush Hour.
I love that game, to be honest. I do love that game.
That's a good one.
You know what? Our producer is here, Dustin. I know you're sort of a video game aficionado. What would you say is your favorite game?
All right, my favorite game is a total weird one because no one ever brings this up, but Star Fox 64. I played that game so much, like hours and hours. And before the days of like being able to look up cheat codes and strategies and stuff on the internet, I found like all the secret pathways and stuff, and I feel like such a god. I'm 8 years old. I want to get like Star Fox tattoos, everything. Like I love that.
Dustin,
game.
this was your chance.
Dustin, they had Player's Guide, Dustin.
They did.
The Player's Guide.
Also, great choice. I can, like, with a lot of movies, I can basically recite that game as it's happening. So yeah, I definitely sign off on that.
I love
Do a barrel roll.
Yeah.
No, I love the mission where it's basically the final scene from Independence Day, but not really. I forget the name of the level, but like it's literally the final scene of Independence Day.
Korey,
Katina.
Do you consider yourself a gamer? Like, are you big?
Like diverse wise, no. I've been playing the same game for probably the last 4 years. Anybody is a fan of Overwatch? I have a whole lot of hours on Overwatch.
Do you have a main?
You know what? What's my main, Dustin? Go ahead. Just throw one out. Nope.
Are you a tank or DPS?
I don't know. Will you read it? Read the room.
Oh my god.
It's gonna
Reaper?
Okay, that's one. If I'm playing DPS, if I feel like waiting that long.
Mercy.
Oh god! Dude, I'm a Mercy main.
Yeah.
No way.
Hope is a Mercy main.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So funny.
Wow, Overwatch, I'm a healer.
I have never played it, so
Man, I'm gonna have Mercy. I don't know
Reaper, Diva, and Mercy are my big three.
Nice.
my big thing right
Fantastic.
now is I'm replaying Dragon Age Origins which is the best game ever made.
Yeah,
I don't
Paul
care.
talks about Dragon Age Origins all
He
the
does.
time.
I don't
He
care if
does.
anybody has an opinion about it. It's the best game ever made.
Okay,
If
so
you like RPGs.
So I'm going to apologize for this answer. This is going to make me seem like I don't belong in this room, really. I know. I'm just going to just turn away from Korey to avoid the judgment.
He said he wasn't a big gamer. He just plays Overwatch. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's fine. Video game is something that I've definitely always wanted to be really into, and I've always been very, very basic in what I play. The most hours I put in are definitely NCAA football games, and I have no regret about it.
Hey, you know what? NCAA football is a franchise they need to bring back because those games were legit.
Yep, totally.
I didn't even know they were gone. So
yeah, not since
I've never been a sports
2014.
gamer.
It's been a minute.
2014 was the last
NFL
one.
2K. That was probably about when I signed off when it was ESPN.
Yeah, I had that on the Dreamcast, if I remember correctly.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so all good
I
stuff.
played NBA Jam in the 90s.
Hey, that's
Yeah,
fine.
you're on
That's
fire.
Jack Fu.
Oh, no, I never played Jack Fu.
Okay, a couple more questions here, guys. First one that I'll say is, which wrestler that's on the list so far do you think was the least likely to appear on the list? In your
Mike
opinion?
Awesome.
Yeah, Mike Awesome.
Mike Awesome.
Mike
yeah.
Awesome's awesome.
Interesting.
Yeah, but he's only on this list because I politicked for it.
Well, I don't think that's true. I think actually, if you recall, that was one of our first trivia challenges, and that I won. By the way, first ever last match standing trivia champion. And I actually am the one who suggested that match after I won trivia. So no, I don't think you politic to get it on. I think it was a legit good match. It's still on the list. It's not last place. Korey, you remember Mike Awesome versus Masato Tanaka? You know what match we're talking about, right?
Heatwave 98.
I'm gonna plead the fifth.
That's a glaring yes. He does remember.
Yeah. Okay. So the huge power bomb over the top rope through the table to the outside.
Okay, well, if we're gonna mention the clip, then yes. Yeah.
Oh, you did know the clip?
Yeah.
So Mike Awesome, least likely.
I think so.
I knew he would make an appearance, and I didn't want him to, but Hulk Hogan, because I just can't. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't think of great wrestling when I think of Hulk Hogan,
don't.
but I get it. So that would mean he couldn't be least likely. I would say Larry Zbyszko.
Hey, Larry Zbyszko is actually a fantastic
He's a good wrestler. He's a good wrestler.
But
Wait, ones that are actually on here or ones that aren't on here?
They're on
ones that are on the list.
Yeah,
Okay.
So for me, well, there were wrestlers that I had never seen before, right? Like Octagon, right? I'd never seen that guy. I'd never seen Art Bar. But
Love Machine.
I figured, but ones that I knew before going in and had seen them wrestle, but I figured we would never ever put them on greatest wrestling matches of all time. And I think a lot of listeners probably agree and don't think this match deserves a spot on the list, but I do. Joey Ryan.
Oh,
I
yeah.
100% hated Joey Ryan before I watched his PWG stuff.
So Korey, as you look at the list, is there anyone that you think is pretty unexpected?
Yes, but also no. So, yes, I wouldn't generally expect to see him, but no, because of who it's with. Dean Malenko, sleeper, right? I mean, like, obviously really, really good, but like, how often do we talk about Dean Malenko?
Not enough.
Almost never, and it's so weird.
Yeah.
He's such a... I think the charisma aspect wasn't there, and so it's difficult to sort of get behind and get a big following as like literally just being in the ring.
Well, then that's why his gimmick was like he didn't talk.
Right.
He just wrestled. That was the whole point of the Iceman. That was the biggest mistake they had in WWE. Put a microphone in his hand. No. Don't put a mic in his hand. Just let him go out and just tear people apart in the ring.
But the shit you could learn from just watching that man work
Oh, yeah. I learned
is
a lot from Dean
amazing.
Malenko.
Okay, so I want to. I'm going to do 2 rapid fire questions. So just off the dome, real quick. First one: favorite all-time British wrestler.
William Regal.
Zack Sabre Jr.
Fuck you.
He's the best of both worlds.
I'm just kidding.
He's every bit of William Regal and every bit of Dean Malenko all rolled into one.
Yeah, I really, really love William Regal. Obviously, Davey Boy Smith, like that obviously makes sense too.
Soon to be Hall of Fame, Davey Boy Smith.
Yeah, there's probably 3 or 4 that you could really, really have a conversation about, but you guys both named really good ones.
I mean, I think it's obvious, right? William Regal.
Yeah. It's hard to pick.
Nowadays, man, big Pete Dunne fan.
Oh,
Pete
love
Dunne's
Pete
big
Dunne. Love Pete Dunne.
Bruiserweight for sure, no doubt. Okay, next one. Favorite bad match.
Starrcade 98.
I'm gonna say
The whole fucking show. No, I was kidding.
the one that comes to mind is the fuck on me match.
Oh god.
Cody Rhodes versus Ted DiBiase Jr. And if you don't know the story, just look it up on YouTube because it's hilarious.
3, I think.
Yeah.
Where's that referee?
Yeah. Oh yeah. You know what we're talking about. Don't worry.
I've never laughed harder
So
at Cody Rhodes in my entire life.
I think I'm going to pass this question.
Nope.
No, I don't really. I
Nope.
can't think. I think like I don't know. I don't know. Like favorite bad match. I mean, there's several from any of the WrestleManias that we've covered so far.
Oh, Adrian Adonis. Do you like any of the Adrian Adonis matches?
Korey, anything come to mind?
Favorite
bad match?
Insert cringy peak Attitude Era Diva match here.
There it is. There it is. Oh, okay. Well, that gives me mine. WrestleMania 20, the Playboy evening gown match.
Hell
That
yeah.
one
Oh god.
is pretty abysmal.
But it's got to be like I almost
What
read
was the thing with the Miller Lite girls?
Oh fuck.
Oh, you just started something, and you don't even know you started something. Who invented
Who
WrestleMania?
invented WrestleMania?
It's not the
Vince.
best, but
No. Somebody has to do that.
Vince McMahon.
Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, they added another L into Hogan's name.
Hulk Hogan.
Oh, the Miller Lite.
Miller Lite
Hogan.
girls.
so maybe just favorite to rip on then. Maybe not actual
Oh, the rip
favorite.
on?
No. That was I don't have an actual answer for this.
Right.
I'd say Hogan Sting 97.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That should have been the best match ever, but it's not.
Last two questions. Before the show, did we each have a definitive top 5 match list that we just thought personally?
I did, yes.
And then has any of our current top 5 surprised you?
Yeah. None of the matches that I put in my short list are even on our list, and I don't think they will be on our list.
See, that's so interesting. So, yeah, actually, my top 5 before doing this show was really, really different. And I think the main difference is, what I do think my number 1 was always Bret Hart, Steve Austin, and I think it's still number 1. But I have to say, a match that was not in my top 5, and now at the end of this episode, based on looking at the listener feedback, which we'll get to in a little bit, it might end up being number 1 at the end of this episode. Triple H versus Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
It was not in my top 5. It wasn't even on my radar before doing the show.
I had never seen it before.
And now I think it very well could be the last match standing.
That's really, really interesting. We have not yet covered the match that I would say is my number 1 ever. But I would agree with you. Triple H, Shawn Michaels, out of the 60 we've covered, is my personal favorite. So I think, to answer the question, yeah, my list was different before we started the show, just because of the exposure that we've gotten by doing this, right? That's opened all of our eyes into different areas, different promotions, different things like that.
My top 5 is changed completely. Like
Paul's top 5 is all Joshi stuff now. So
that's it. It's all of it.
There's 2 in there.
Yeah.
But like my top 5 before going to this are matches we're probably never going to cover. I'm not going to talk about it just because it's going to go down a whole other can of worms. But it's changed, and we've pretty much covered what I would consider now my top 5. And like, it might surprise you, but once again, I ain't saying them.
Korey, when you look at our top 5 right now, are those matches that you would consider top 5 greatest wrestling matches of all time? Are there any glaring omissions so far?
I would definitely wouldn't say omissions. Although, send your hate tweets to I think I'm at Konstantine 225. I really like the Triple H and Shawn match, but is it in my top 5? No, I don't think so.
And I guess just to clarify right now, our top 5 right now, before we get into the big conversation on, what should move around, is at number 5, Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Kazuchika Okada from Wrestle Kingdom 10. Number 4, Ric Flair versus Ricky Steamboat from Wrestle War 89. Number 3, Triple H versus Shawn Michaels from SummerSlam 2002. Number 2, Omega Okada 4 from Dominion 2018. And right now, the current last match standing as of the Season 3 finale, or at least the beginning of the Season 3 finale, Bret Hart versus Steve Austin from WrestleMania 13.
The only good match in that card.
He's going to say that every time I say WrestleMania.
Yes, I am. 'Cause I hate that WrestleMania.
I'm going to listen to what you had to say there, Korey, and we're going to get back to that match, Triple H, Shawn Michaels. We'll get back to it, right? We almost inevitably have to.
We're going to come back to it.
Okay, last question from the survey, which, by the way, great questions all around. Really appreciate them. But this question is, what's our plan after match number 100?
Oh, man.
I will do a spin-off show where I review bad matches.
Paul really does want to review bad matches.
Worst match standing.
Well, I don't know if I would do it like that. I don't want to say what's the worst match of all time. I would just want to review and I'm not talking about, this match is just bad. Like, no. I want to talk about matches that should have been good that are just shot to bed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting question. I'm not 100% sure at this point because I think it's really going to depend on what our schedules are like after we hit episode 100. I think there's going to be a little bit of a reset button at that point, but I think the most sense would be to just sort of carry on what we're doing now. And at that point, we'll review a match and we'll say, does it make the list of the top 100 matches of all time? I think that's going to be the most natural progression, but time will tell. Time will tell.
I think for me, like my thought process is not even necessarily what our schedules, obviously that's going to play a part, but for me, it's what our listeners want. Where do they want us to go?
Yeah.
Do you want us to do Last Wrestler Standing, where we do 100 episodes on a different wrestler each time? Do you want us to do a last, SummerSlam Standing, Last Wrestle Kingdom Standing, whatever? Obviously we're in the middle of Last Mania Standing. We want to do what you guys want to listen to, and if that means we're just keeping this last match standing going, every week we're just going to decide if it doesn't make the list or not. I think that's a great idea. So whatever you guys want, you let us know, and we'll figure it out from there. Korey, do you have a suggestion there? Do you think continuing as we go, or is there something specific that...
I have a great suggestion. It's kind of a life tip. Best of luck in your future endeavors.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I've never heard that before.
Okay, so Q&A done and away, and it is now time for one of my favorite segments on our season finales, one that I just think is the most fun.
Well, hold on a minute there, player. Because I have an announcement to make. This announcement comes with a very, very heavy heart, but I just can't live a lie anymore. Folks, you may know me as the guy that is a massive mark for Lex Luger. I'm not. I'm sorry. I know it's a big deal that I admit that was all drummed up for a publicity stunt.
I don't know if that's true.
However, I have found a suitable replacement as my wrestling idol. That is none other than Sid Vicious. The master and the ruler of the world. Because he has half the brain that you do.
So are you saying that you just slashed the tires to the Lex Express?
I did.
Oh, no!
I am the reason why the Lex Express crashed and burned. I'm sorry, Lex.
What are we going to do with all of our patrons who are Lexorcists?
Well, we can just rename it to Master and Ruler of the Universe.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you, rulers of the universes, peoples.
That is earth-shattering, Paul.
I know.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
So I hope I didn't break anyone's heart.
It had to be done.
However, you can read Lex Luger's book, Wrestling with the Devil. It's okay. He talks about the Lex Express for 1 page.
Does that seem like enough to you?
No, it's like 8 months.
Okay. All right, it is time to get to Season 3 by the numbers.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, we need a fancy soundbite for that.
Yeah, Dusty,
Season 3 by the numbers. You're welcome. So
there's been over 4 big shows.
Yeah, this is our version of the Royal Rumble It's all about the numbers.
There's been 3,100 tons of people in the ring. That's the equivalent of 27 big shows.
Kane has eliminated 18 people in every...
That's right. That's right.
Roman Reigns won that one time and he got booed.
This is...
Still doing sound bites?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, air horn in there.
This is our version of that. So, for season 3, we're going to start with match type. 17 of our 20 matches in season 3 were one-on-one.
Yeah.
17.
That's a little low. I would think like 19 or something like that.
It was 17, which means through 3 seasons, 47 of our 60 matches are singles matches.
Wow.
47 out of 60, which is, that says something, I think.
There's a little bit more multi than I thought in there.
We only had 4 gimmick matches in this season. We had
Two
War
of them are
Games.
house, so.
I counted Survivor Series, traditional Survivor Series, as sort of gimmicky.
Yeah, definitely.
We had the Last Woman Standing match, and then we had a Hell in a Cell this season, which means that 22 of our 60 matches through 3 seasons are gimmicked in some way.
Okay.
Which is interesting. We had 10 different championship matches for 10 different titles in season 3.
That is
awesome.
really interesting.
Which is really interesting, which means that total, out of our 60 matches through 3 seasons, 37 of them are championship matches for 24 different belts.
Holy
Wow.
shit.
Yeah.
I didn't even know there were 24 belts in existence.
That's right. Well, and they're all on SmackDown. But 24 different championships so far through our 60 matches, which is fun. Okay, so...
Okay, that one broke me.
This season, our longest match was the 60-minute time limit draw between Nick Bockwinkel and Kurt Hennig. Nick Bockwinkel.
What about him?
Anything worth noting about Nick Bockwinkel?
He's got the brains and he's not humble. He'll win the belt back to the Wrestle Rock Rumble.
Thank you very much.
Hell yeah, he will.
Our shortest match was Alundra Blaze and Bull Nakano at 8 minutes and 10 seconds.
That's only because Alundra was hurt.
Yeah, which makes our average match time in season 3 22 minutes and 52 seconds.
Wow, that's kind of long.
Yeah.
22, as in Kurt and Samoa Joe ranked at number 22. The numbers don't lie, Spencer.
So, the average match out of our 60 matches, the average match length is 24 minutes and 43 seconds.
I would have said 25.
Which sounds about right.
Yeah.
Sounds about right. But after adding 7 hours, 37 minutes, and 21 seconds from season 3, if you were to watch from bell to bell all 60 of our matches just on loop, it would take you 24 hours, 38 minutes, and 43 seconds.
That's easy. Get on it.
It can be done.
So we've officially eclipsed the 1 full day mark here on Last Match Standing. So that's pretty
And
interesting.
we have 20 matches to go.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm sorry, we have
40
40 matches to go.
40 matches to go.
Oh, no.
It really makes you think about the time that we put in to prep for the show.
We put in a full day.
Clearly, we love you guys.
Yeah.
We've watched wrestling for a full day for you.
We have
More
covered...
than that, you watch every match before we record like 4 times.
That's true. So
Well, I wanna
multiply
get
that.
I need all the notes down. I gotta find the sign of the night. I gotta find the fan of the night. I gotta find the rally towel guy.
Yeah, because we do that every episode
Gotta
without
find the
fail.
power bomb of the match.
That's it. That's important.
Speaking of power bombs, how many power? You didn't do that, did you?
No.
Damn it.
Listen, I'm only one man, for God's
Well,
sake.
I have 16 of the last 20 matches had power bombs in them,
Oh, there you go.
and one of them had 4, so it makes up for the 4 that didn't have. Bombs.
There you go.
Perfect. We have covered 9 different promotions in season 3.
Is that a new record?
No, we had 9 last season as well.
Oh, we tied them.
So through
Were they the same 9?
no.
No.
Through 3 seasons, we've covered 12 different promotions. This season gave us our first ever AAA and AWA matches. So there you go. That's kind of fun.
That is very fun.
Yeah, 12 different promotions. I feel good about that. That's really nice.
Ruffle.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry, there's me turning the page. Season
so
3 ranged from 1982 to 2020, right? So our most recent match ever. We had 5 different matches in August in season 3,
Huh.
which is interesting.
Something about August.
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
there's SummerSlam, goes on in August.
Yeah. So through 3 seasons, we've covered a span of 42 years between 1978 and 2020. There are 4 years that we have hit 4 different times in our 60 matches.
Really?
so
What
far.
matches are those?
Well, I'll tell you the years.
Okay, I'm sorry.
2002.
2002.
Yeah, I would say.
94.
Nope.
Ah,
96.
Nope.
93.
Nope.
97.
97. 1997, 2002, 2006, and 2016. We've covered four
That's right.
times.
We have done
Yeah,
2016.
2016, which is good. We have more matches in April than any other month with 10.
Oh, wonder why.
Yeah. And then August with 9. So there you go.
I just
so
think
far
like
through 60
Mania
matches.
SummerSlam, even though we've not done that many SummerSlam matches.
Through 3 seasons, Last Match Standing has visited 49 different venues in 36 cities in 18 states in the U.S. Chicago, the most visited city, 6 times.
Really?
We've been in Chicago 6 times.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
It makes sense. It makes sense. Commentary team, we had 24 different commentators in season 3.
But Don West and Mike Tenay are the best.
Jerry Lawler, the most frequent, 6 times here
Oh, joy.
in season 3. 13 commentators made the list for the first time.
Wow.
And yeah.
That's a lot.
And through 3 seasons, we've had 43 commentators in total. JR and King on the list 18 times.
Yes.
Oh, wait.
No shot.
I got it. You're going to do last commentator standing.
Last commentator standing. I'm in. That's it. That's what we're doing.
Mike
I like
Tenay
it.
wins, so.
I think Spencer's more of a last venue standing guy.
You just
Super
rate
into the venues.
Yeah,
Last,
that's my
like,
thing.
Intro font.
Yeah,
standing.
that's last graphic.
Yeah.
That's it. I like
Yeah, I'll do last manager standing after this.
it. We had 17 different referees in season 3.
Last ref standing.
10 of them for the first time, including.
Well, they shouldn't be
Mike
standing.
Chioda.
You got to get down to make the count.
So through 3 seasons, we've had 39 referees on Last Match Standing, the most of which, of course, Earl Hebner with 9 different matches on the list.
5
Red
different
Shoes has got to
promotions.
be up there.
Red Shoes has 5. So 9 for Hebner, Kyoto with 6, and Red Shoes with 5. So that's sort of our top 3 as of now.
Nice.
And then finally, our wrestlers. So we had 54 different wrestlers in season 3.
Holy shit.
Yep. 27 of which made the list for the first time, including Randy Orton. First time on the list.
Wow.
Oh, that's right. He's
Yeah.
on there.
Yeah,
Forgot
which
about
is
that.
interesting. Yeah, and he's in the Survivor Series
Does it
match,
technically
so.
make Batista in there too?
Um,
I mean, I know it's a run-in, but
No,
We talked about
I
it.
would say Batista hasn't really kind of made it to the list yet.
not officially.
Yeah.
Not officially. Not officially.
But we've seen him.
so through 3 seasons, we have featured 134 different wrestlers,
Holy shit.
35 of which make multiple appearances. The most of which so far is Shawn Michaels with 6,
Yeah, I would say Ric Flair.
followed by The Undertaker with 5, followed by a tie with 4 between Kurt Angle, Bret Hart, and Steve Austin.
So Ric Flair's not even in the top 3.
He's only
Nope.
on twice.
No. So I have 2 questions. After all of those numbers, I have 2 questions for you guys to see if you guys can really think about the list really hard.
Uh-oh.
What 2 wrestlers have made the list as both a wrestler and a referee? There are 2.
A wrestler and a referee?
Yep.
Mick
there-
Foley is always a ref.
He is not on the list,
Not on the list.
as a referee
Ooh,
so
okay.
far. There are 2 wrestlers that we've had that have made the list as both
Oh,
wrestlers and referees.
Ken Shamrock.
That is correct.
I
Yeah,
got
that's
nothing on that
true.
one.
That's true.
Ricky Steamboat.
Ricky Steamboat.
Oh, yeah, of course, because of the
Yeah.
4-way X Division.
Paul, nice job. Nice job. I have one more question for you. What 3 wrestlers
Oh,
have
fuck.
appeared as both wrestlers and commentators?
What?
Yeah, 3 wrestlers have appeared both on commentary and in the ring on our list so far.
That's a good question.
It is. It is.
Just look at our list over here.
I got nothing. We don't put commentators in the list, Landon.
I think you guys can figure it out. 2 of them are in the same match.
Oh, that's interesting.
Wait, what?
2 of them are in the same match.
2 of them.
Oh, Daniel Bryan.
Daniel Bryan.
Yeah,
because he was
Daniel
on
Bryan.
commentary for the Cruiserweight
Oh, I
Classic.
forgot about that. That's right.
Nigel McGuinness.
Nigel McGuinness.
Yep. So there's one more.
Yep. So Daniel Bryan, Nigel McGuinness, and
Is this last one difficult, or are we just dumb?
no, I think it's. I wouldn't say it's like completely obvious, but
I'm trying to think. They commentated and wrestled.
yes,
Within these matches?
yes. I would not say that this person is known for being the best commentator of all time.
Paul Heyman.
No.
I'm leaning
guess.
toward. I am leaning towards Jerry the King Lawler because he may have been in the Royal Rumble.
No.
He wasn't. Not 92.
Okay.
Chris Jericho.
No, that's a really good guess, though. That's a really good guess, though.
I can't. I'm drawing a blank.
The answer is going to give us our last match standing shucky ducky quack quack moment.
Damn it.
And it's Booker T.
Yeah, Survivor Series match.
There it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure enough.
How about that?
What? So I guess he was he did commentary for Women's Triple Threat.
Maybe. I can't remember.
It was
off the top
one
of my
of
head.
them.
Did
He would have been
commentary
whatever
for-
Raw matches were, right?
Yeah.
Could have been.
One of our more recent Raw matches. So
Yeah,
Did he
maybe
commentate
Cena
the
Michaels.
CM Punk?
Or yeah, it could have been Punk
He would've-
Cena.
yeah,
Could have been Punk
No,
Cena.
Yeah,
it was
did-
Punk Cena. It was
Yeah.
Punk Cena, I think,
I was
if
thinking
my
either
memory
Punk
serves me
Cena
correct.
or Punk Taker, but I don't remember. Because
Could have been any of those, honestly.
Yeah.
for Cena and Michaels, he was still an active wrestler when that match happened.
What a great by the numbers.
Yeah, so there you go. There's season 3 by the numbers.
Thank you, Spencer.
Yep. Yeah, there you go. It's interesting. And I'm really curious to see, obviously season 4, 20 matches, season 5, 20 matches, how that's going to change. I'm really, really interested. It's going to be a lot of fun. But I think it's time. I think it's time now to get down to the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
And
Time.
really break into what you guys, the listeners, think about our rankings, how we went wrong.
Time. It's time.
Or time! It's time! It's Vader time!
Have we
Been
not
waiting
had
on
Vader
that.
on the show yet?
No.
That's an issue. We need
Yeah.
to fix that.
I don't
Yeah.
think so.
I love Vader.
He
Landon,
might not make it.
the floor is yours, sir.
All right, guys. I've got the data right here, and it was an insanely interesting bit. We had a number of responses. Thank you guys so much, everyone who reached out and gave us your feedback. Let's go. So we broke it down a little bit differently this time, and the way we're gonna do this is we asked you which matches you would rank higher, so closer to number 1, and then which matches you would rank lower, so closer to 60. And we're just going to kind of go through those.
Yeah, I think the idea was we did not want to make you guys rank them in order 1 to 60. One, that would have taken you guys a while, and 2, it is painstakingly difficult, as we know.
Especially if you haven't seen some of the matches.
Yeah, so we thought this was the best way to sort of do it in a subjective way. So I think this will work out really, really nicely.
So obviously there's a lot of 1s and 2s on this list. Almost every match got picked to go up or down at least one slot. So what I'll do is I'll just I'm looking at the complete data in a conglomeration of all of our scores, and I'll just take the ones that were a huge, huge, huge list. So starting at the top, right? 38% of our listeners who responded to the survey said that, no surprise, Triple H versus Shawn Michaels, which is currently number 3, deserves to be higher, closer to number 1.
Korey is surprised.
38%. Keep going down here. We have 15% of respondents said Bret Hart versus Owen Hart from WrestleMania 10, one of the greatest opening matches in WrestleMania history. Currently at number 7, 15% of you think that should be higher.
One of them.
And we have a series of here right next to each other. What's ranked at number 10, 11, and 12, all 3 of these should be higher. 30% of you believe that Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio from Halloween Havoc 96 deserves to be higher. 23% of you think Akira Hakuto versus Shinobu Kandori deserves to be a little bit higher than 11. And match number 12, that's Cena Punk from Money in the Bank. 30% of you think that one really deserves more credit.
Yep.
That's really, really
It's a
interesting.
good match.
Moving on down, this one shocks me. So this was
That shocks
our
you?
season 3 finale. Kurt Angle versus Samoa Joe. We ranked it at 22.
Not high enough.
23% of respondents to the survey said that should be ranked higher.
I'm one of those people as well.
Looking here, you know what? Number 31 we have ranked as Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan. 23% of listeners think that should be higher, as well as 23% of listeners think the Manami Toyota versus Akira Hakuto should be ranked higher than 33.
I agree as well.
Moving on down, we've got, and guys, this is the highest percentage of any match that our listeners think should be higher. So what apparently should be ranked much, much higher, 46% think
half.
that Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker, Hell in a Cell, should be higher than 37.
That is a beautiful car crash melody.
Yeah, we're going to have to talk about
So
that
good.
one here in a sec.
So much fun.
And we have 30% of folks think that Cactus Jack versus Triple H from Royal Rumble deserves more love. Currently, it's at 38.
Now there's after my heart. I love that match.
Yeah.
It's good.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
It's a good spot.
It's a great set.
30% of people think Bret Hart versus British Bulldog from SummerSlam should get more love. Right now, it's at 41. And the last couple here, right now at number 52, we have CM Punk versus The Undertaker from their WrestleMania Clash.
That's way too low.
52 is pretty low. So, yeah, that'd be an interesting thing to talk through.
What's the percentage there?
23%.
Okay.
And then also at 23%, the TLC 1 match.
Okay, well, here's my thing on that one.
Really interesting.
Y'all almost made me throw
hang
my
on.
phone.
Here's my thing on that one. TLC 1 should be removed, replaced with TLC 2, which should be in like the top 30.
And you know what? We have talked about this
Fight me.
on all of our season finales at this point, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
We're doing it.
Okay. Korey Konstantine.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going, man?
I'm
Doing
great.
good?
How are you?
Oh, good. Yeah, good.
Good to see you around here.
Yeah. TLC 1 or TLC 2?
2.
Thank you.
That was a really quick response.
Yeah.
It's better.
Well,
It's
23% of people think that TLC 1 deserves to be higher
because they probably
than 60 on our list.
they
I can-
probably
I
think
can
it's TLC
agree.
2.
I can agree that it could be. How much? That's a different story.
Maybe to its response.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would be totally fine with removing TLC 1 from the list. First time ever taking a match off
Replacing with TLC
and replacing it with TLC 2 and
Have you
ranking
done a TLC 2?
No.
We haven't done it yet.
Not
Yeah.
yet. Well, we always ask the
What's
question and we
funny-
don't get a lot of response. I'm like, fuck it. We're just going to do it. If you guys don't like it, don't listen to that episode.
And the thing is, we all
do,
recently
please.
watched TLC 2 for our last Mania standing crawl because we are now at WrestleMania X7 on our last Mania standing. So it's
Up there
interesting
for
because
me.
now it's
It's
all
up there
fresh
for
in our
me.
minds.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a far superior match in every conceivable way.
Yeah. I can say that.
And we literally watched them back to back. And I'm like, no, it's better. They had more time. They get to do more spectacular spots. There's actual wrestling moves, which was your biggest complaint about the first one. There's no wrestling.
down. What?
Yeah, people also sell.
We did also receive a comment, and this was only from 7% of folks, so it wasn't one of the ones that got a whole lot of love, but Rock Hogan is currently at number 46.
Okay.
We got an interesting comment that said, you know what, I really think it should be in the top 30. So that's in the upper half,
Okay.
which would put it above matches like Kofi Kingston and Daniel Bryan. What do y'all think about Rock Hogan?
Well, I reject your hypothesis, but I thank you for writing in. I'm sorry.
That's a match that is ranked solely based off of the characters and the crowd, and not at all.
And Jim Ross.
And Jim Ross, and not at all based off the action in the
My
ring.
God, the strength of Hogan!
The action of the ring would disqualify it from the list. It doesn't compare to almost anything else we have.
That's why I put up there with the age-old Jericho quote, if you mute it, then it's nothing special.
But wrestling is not intended to be taken in muted.
No.
And I think that is a lot to say about Rock Hogan.
Having arguably the best crowd reaction of all time
Yeah.
is an important thing. I said this on my new ranking system that affects the quality of the match. Whether people want to admit it or not, it does. If you have like the best crowd of all time and you're just like shoving each other, I don't care. Big, good match. But you could have a fucking clinic and people were like, which I've seen before and it pisses me off. It ruins my appreciation of a good match. The crowd's just like,
So, really, really good data there. I think it's time to move on to which matches our listeners think should rank lower. So not necessarily all the way to the bottom, but just somewhere closer to 60 than where they are currently.
Holy shit.
And so here are... Paul can kind of look over my shoulder and see some of the data.
It's amazing.
18% of listeners agree that currently our number one match should not be the last match standing. And of course, that is Bret Hart versus Steve Austin.
I'm pretty sure Kevin Mann did a survey because he even kind of made a joke about it when they sponsored us.
27% of you think that Ric Flair versus Ricky Steamboat is too high.
Really?
At number 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could be debated on that one.
It looks like 27% of folks believe the X Division 4-way is a little bit high at number 9. And, I hear that.
I wouldn't move that one very far.
I'm not sure how many people have seen that match.
Yeah, me too. Because you can... It's fucking awesome.
We've got 18% who agree that Pete Dunne versus Tyler Bate might be a little high. At number 8.
Those people are wrong, but...
No.
We'll see.
No, they're right. And I'll tell you why in a bit.
Okay. 18% also agree John Cena versus CM Punk is a little high, and that is interesting.
So it's too high and too low.
It's too high and too low. So we have 18% of folks think it's too high.
So this is the Goldilocks match.
It might end up being the Goldilocks match because we have 30% of people think that it's too low.
Okay, that outranks. So they null and void.
Interesting data. Thank you, everyone who responded to this poll. We've got, let's see, 18% of people think that we put Zack Sabre Jr. and Will Ospreay a little too high. Don't let Hope hear me say that. At 18%.
If it moves, it wouldn't move very far.
18% agree Magnum TA and Tully Blanchard is high at 18.
I agree with that.
So this is the highest percentage of people agree at 36% that Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio from WrestleMania 21 is ranked too high at 19.
Okay. I mean, their Halloween Havoc match is way better.
That's the thing. It's the only match on our list that we literally have copy paste. We have another one of their matches.
Yeah, but it's like 11 years later.
And so, do they both deserve a spot in the top 20? That we need to talk about that.
Maybe I don't know. Once again, if it moves, it ain't moving very far.
Let's see. We've got, and you know what? Let's just go to this one. 27%. That's a lot. Believe that the match we were just talking about, Rock Hogan, is too high. At 46, it's too high. 27% of you believe that. So
they clearly watched without the sound on.
Yeah.
It's not bad. We're not saying it's like. I would never say it's a bad match. I would just say that I do see the criticism of like the crowd and the commentators make it, but it's so important. It's like the importance of it outweighs the quality of it. If that makes any sense, in my opinion.
And so, from an outsider's perspective, just kind of scaling all of this back, if we think about it now, I mean, you're getting no less than 15 to 20 like really good matches every year for at least the last 5 years since wrestling's really started heating up. So I mean, this is like the fact that it's even on the top 100 in itself is, I mean, that's got to say something. I would say.
Well said. What's the old CM
and
Punk?
That
Fine
is
speech.
the data. that is what we have to go off of for our season 3 finale. Do we see anything that conclusively states that we have misranked some of these matches?
Okay, so
based on what I saw, like 3.
So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take that data you gave me and get just the high points for both.
Okay.
Right? So there's a lot of 23% and 18%, whatever, booting them, right? Just for the sake of this conversation, right? Otherwise, we'll be here all day. So, let's start lower, just because there were fewer of those. So for the lower matches, there are 4 that stand out with more than a quarter of respondents saying they should be lower, okay? And that's Flair Steamboat at 4, the X Division 4-Way, Rock Hogan, and Eddie and Ray from WrestleMania 21. Those are the 4 matches that more than any of the other ones, people want ranked lower, okay? The most of which is Rock Hogan. So I would say start, not Rock Hogan, I'm so sorry, Eddie and Ray from WrestleMania 21. So I would say start there.
What are we having right now?
Eddie and Ray,
right now, Eddie and Ray at WrestleMania 21 is ranked number 19. It's surrounded by Magnum TA and Tully Blanchard at 18.
Okay, so
and
it's not
Bailey
going-
versus Sasha Banks at 20.
I would not. Okay, first off, I would put it above TA and Blanchard. I almost said TA and Magnum. I think it's better than that, but I think people also want that one to move down too. So it's like, what do we do here?
Well, okay, so here's the thing. We have sort of debated the placement of this episode, and we've done it recently. And, we can go back and listen to what our deliberation was then. But today we're joined by a guest. And, Korey, I'd really love to lean on your opinion here. Based on what the listeners are saying, they think Eddie and Ray at WrestleMania 21 is too high at 19. Korey, what's your reaction to that?
Okay.
A golf clap. I love it.
So, where does it go then? How far should it fall?
Let me
I've got
double
an
check
answer.
this list here. So we're 19, right?
Yeah, I definitely see an
You
argument.
know what I'm going to say.
Uh-oh.
You know what I'm going to say.
What's he going to say?
You already know. You know what I'm going to say. It should at least go to 22.
22. So that would put it right above Angle Samoa Joe.
But
Genesis
I said
2006.
at least to 22.
At least.
Which,
If it moved-
realistically, 23.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay,
And
so that was
that's generous for me.
generous. Okay.
And that's just for the ones that fall directly beneath it. I disagree. Specifically,
I definitely.
Landon, Shinsuke and Kota.
So you're thinking Shinsuke and Kota is way too low, is what it sounds like.
I'm saying that it shouldn't be below this match for sure.
I agree with that.
And you know what? I have heard that from several listeners as well. It didn't necessarily show up on this survey, but I've heard a lot of love for Shinsuke and Kota.
It's good.
So you know what? I am comfortable moving this into the 22 spot, or maybe
23.
even lower.
23.
Yeah, I would go 23. Put it right above the Triple I tag team, but right below Kurt Angle, Samoa
Yeah.
Joe.
Right above Beetlejuice.
How does that sound?
It is
Love it.
done.
Boom. You heard it here first.
Fantastic. Eddie and Ray from WrestleMania 21 is now number 22.
That's it.
Originally, I was going to be like, it should be number 21. Ugh.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for that recommendation. I mean, that was a huge percentage of you guys thought that should be lower. And you know what? This
And
is
now it
really,
is.
This is really hard. I feel so bad about it.
It is. There's a
feel
couple
bad about
other
it?
matches that people want to rank lower that are worth considering. And let's do Rock Hogan at 46.
Okay, you know what? I moved down to 47.
Below Robbie Van Dam and Jerry Lynn.
Yeah.
Again, I would love to
Moved
to,
down 1 point. Just
to
like that.
rely on Korey here. For Rock Hogan, this is a match I would love from a professional wrestler's
Okay, let me
perspective. How does
actually-
this match stand up?
I'll stop being a smartass and actually look at the list.
I mean, it's there. This is a tough one, man, because I feel like once this one shifts, if it goes down, then a lot of other things have to move around. Again, I know we have the sound test, and that's fine, but like even still with the sound test, you can still see all these flash bulbs going off in the audience.
Yeah,
all throughout.
I would
I mean, it's
not-
almost like it's like, glimmering all the way throughout because I mean, I feel like the flash bulbs don't stop throughout the
I
entire
agree.
match.
I know I said
that
move,
means this is something that's a big deal because this isn't like special effects. We're peppering it in. Like this is, real people saying however many people was it? 67,257. I just watched it last night. So, oh wait, no, this is Sky Dome. No, this is more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's up there, and I feel like that's something that's it's transcendent, right? Like when you don't have to do anything, literally, and you get a "This is awesome" chant. That's hard to be trifled with.
All right, so I'm looking at. I know I jokingly said 47. I'm looking at it right now. I'm like, that is my absolute floor. It cannot go any lower than that.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. If we move it down at all, it's going below Rob Van Dam versus Jerry Lynn from Hardcore Heaven 99.
Here's my thing.
Do we think that's appropriate?
Hang on, here's my thing. I cannot and will not put this below the Survivor Series match or War Games.
I agree.
Because it is superior to both of them.
I agree.
If anything, I would move it up.
Well, that is not what we're looking at doing based on the data that we got from our
looking
listeners.
at that data, and I'm looking at this, and I'm like, as much as I love Marty and Rocco, I might actually put it above that. So if anything, I'm talking about possibly going up.
It sounds like this one might need to stay where it is. Spencer?
That's exactly where I'm at. I just think
I refuse to go
nothing conclusive. And I think maybe more feedback from the listeners would be beneficial in this area.
The biggest takeaway for me is if I'm moving up, 1. Moving down, 1. That's it. Because I got a hard ceiling on it and a hard floor. So I think that means stay right where you are.
Well, and the reality is that number for Rock Hogan might shift based off of the rest of this conversation.
It could. True. Very well could.
So the other two matches that are worth mentioning as far as lowering them were Flair Steamboat and the X Division Fatal 4-Way. Those are number 4 and number 9, respectively, right now. Do you guys have any feeling one way or the other?
If I move either one of those, once again, it's probably only going to be 1. Like I wouldn't go any further than 1 position. That's about all I got to say on it.
I would move the X Division Fatal 4-Way. I would drop it 2 spots. Actually, and put it at Kandori, 11 behind Guerrero and Mysterio from Halloween Havoc and Hokuto Kandori from Dream Slam.
I can see that happening.
That's where I would.
And that wouldn't break my heart either. I can live with that.
I am going to shock the world.
Because I am debuting none other than the Shock Master!
I think the 4-Way could drop all the way to 19. So I think
that's further than Shockmaster dropped when he fell.
Busted through the wall. I think the thing about the Fatal 4-Way is I get super hype about that one, and I've really pushed it for a long time.
It's good,
but nobody knows what the hell it is, and that's not a reason to drop it per se. But we do talk about the stage that something is on, and this match is important. And hey, top 20 is still a big freaking deal.
It's just it's in front of.
But I think I get wrapped up in how interesting things are and the pacing, and it's just always it's like 35 minutes, and it's 35 minutes of fast paced, awesome Jerry Lynn, AJ Styles, Psychosis. It's amazing stuff.
Low key.
Yes, and Low key.
You can't forget him.
I never did, but. If you look at some of the matches between here and there, I think there's just some recognition and some underlying importance. Yes, this established the X Division, but is that more important than what Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio did at Halloween Havoc? Is this more important than the Broadway of John Cena and Shawn Michaels? I don't know.
Okay, Landon, I see your point, but I would not put it at number 19. I put it number 18.
Okay, so you would put it right above Magnum TA and Tully Blanchard.
I put it above that, yeah.
I'm good with that.
Korey?
Yeah.
That makes sense to you? Have you seen the X Division 4-Way match? Do you know what we're talking about?
Not this particular one, no.
Well, that
proves your point, doesn't it?
No, yeah, when I hear the 4 names...
sort of proves my point.
No, yeah. I mean, when I hear the 4 names, though, I think that kind of speaks for itself.
Right.
So that could be the largest drop that we've done so far ever.
It very well may be. I mean,
recap it for me. Where do we go? From where to where?
From number 9 all the way to number 18.
And to put it in perspective, 27% of our listeners thought it was ranked too high. So I do feel okay about dropping
Clearly,
this one.
so did we.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Now, as far as Flair Steamboat goes, how many said they thought it was too high?
27%, the same that
27.
said the X Division was.
It's a dangerous game moving it, because on the one hand, I see why people feel that way, but at the same time, I don't know if those people watched it. And I certainly don't know if they watched the trilogy in general. If it would move down, it would not go very far.
This is a modern versus classic wrestling conversation. And I don't know that now is the time to make a ruling on that.
Yeah, I want to wait on that one just because that match is so important. As we said when we first reviewed it, this is either going to make or break our show.
Hey,
Because
and listen.
people are going to listen to it like, fuck you guys, you don't like wrestling, or fuck you guys, I don't want to listen to two old men. I'm like, whatever.
You know who came out at the end of that one?
Terry Funk.
Yeah. I just...
Okay, Rick, I know I said I was going to challenge you for your belt, but I'm not actually going to do that. I'm just going to congratulate you. And you son of a bitch, you're going to die! Ah!
So, as I'm looking at our top 10, I realize what we've just done by moving the 4-way out of the top 10. We have made Akira Hokuto versus Shinobu Kandori the threshold match for our top 10.
Good luck beating that.
Sounds good to me.
And I love that.
By
So
the
right
way-
now we're talking about Ric Flair versus Ricky Steamboat. Does that move out of the top 10 for you guys?
Flair Steamboat, if it does, not today. No, it doesn't actually, even if it moves.
I don't think so. I wouldn't drop Flair Steamboat 9 spots.
Some
No,
comment,
maybe one.
We did get a comment
Maybe.
from folks who filled out the survey saying that it's top 15 at best.
Whoa.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think this is a match that people would be able to hang their career on and say, I know that this is going to inspire another generation of wrestlers.
I think it did. I absolutely think it fucking did. The same way that Flair and the same way that Steamboat and Savage inspired an entire generation of wrestlers. I think it absolutely did.
Corey?
Playing with fire, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't budge. I think it stays where it is for
No,
now.
I think
Still at number 4. Okay.
if anything, I'd move it down one. One.
So you think Tanahashi and Okada told a better story?
Possibly.
It's arguable, but that's the whole point of the show.
Yeah, for sure.
But they're very the fun part about that is it's very comparable.
Yeah, I would
Well, I
agree.
mean, the main
It's
difference
literally
between-
exactly what you said. It's modern versus
Yeah.
older.
Well, the main difference
Because
between
I would equate your Tana to be your Ricky there,
Oh,
and your
absolutely.
Okada your Flair. A lot of
And-
parallels. So
And one thing that I think might balance this out for us is, so yes, there were 27% of people who said that they want this lower, but there's also 7% of people who wanted the same match higher.
Yeah.
If you look at the data.
I think that tells you it's in the right place.
This is what do you come to wrestling for?
Yeah.
And that's the conversation.
It might not be my favorite match of all time, but I understand why it's revered so highly, and we fucking watched it multiple times and reviewed it, and we talked about it, like, what do we do?
Yeah.
Because if we say this match is the drizzling shits, we're going to lose a lot of people. If we say it's the greatest match of all time, we're going to lose a lot of people. I think it belongs in the top 10 for sure. Top 5 is still debatable, but we still have 40 other matches to review.
So when we go to the ones that people want higher, I think our conversation has already helped some of those matches out already. So I'm going to focus on 2 matches, and those are the 2 that are highest percentage-wise that people want to move up. The first of which is Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker, Hell in a Cell, that is currently ranked number 37.
Oof.
That's got to be Kane.
That's
And
the match.
I love how we did not make it about that until it happened. Because that would have been
Good work.
so easy to
That
be
was
like,
Paul's idea.
I was like, we are not talking about Kane until he appears, because I feel like that changes the match being about the greatest debut of a new character versus, holy shit, look what these guys just did with a fucking cell.
But all of it came together.
It did, yeah. And
So-
I just think it's so funny.
And I think to your point too, Paul, is I wasn't even there thinking about that match. Like I didn't even think about Kane, and then
he shows up.
he said no. Even then, Spencer said, the Kane line, and I was like, you're right. Like that, it automatically changes the perception of the match, because if we're talking too high right now, it needs to come down. Yeah, I mean, standalone without that,
Still a pretty strong match.
it was still a really strong match, but could it? Yeah. But when you throw Kane in there, it's like, well, you just have to, it's kind of part of it, right? Because he got in there, he changed the direction of the match.
Oh, yeah, because Taker was definitely going to win. The match is over.
Right.
Kane shows up, rips the door off the cell, holds Undertaker up for an unnaturally amount of time because he couldn't find the right camera, and then does a jumping tombstone. We've never even seen the Undertaker really sell, and then this guy comes out and kills him with one move.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the definition of a game-changing moment. And it's all part of a really, really good story
And
that they're telling the whole
and
time.
The whole Taker-Kane feud didn't finally end until 2010. 2010 was the last time that they had a match as opponents. 2010.
So just looking through some of the comments that we did receive on this match in particular, it looks like people would like to see this match around 19.
Ooh, that's really hot. That's a big jump.
Which, yeah, it's a huge jump. It would put it above Ibushi Nakamura. It would put it above Sasha Banks and Bayley.
Because they want it to be top 20, huh?
That's what it looks like. What do y'all think? How would you react to that move?
Okay, not 19.
Korey, what are you thinking here?
I'm trying to find it on the list right now. We're
It's
at what, 37 to 19?
That's too
That's
big
a
of a jump.
huge jump.
It is.
Holy
Maybe
cow.
29, not 19.
I'm going to fervently disagree on that kind of a jump.
Yeah, okay, well, let's look at Paul's suggestion. At
That was a throwaway, so, I mean...
Well, 29 would put it underneath Nick Bockwinkel versus Kurt Hennig, which I agree.
Okay.
Is it better than what Chris Jericho and Shawn Michaels did at WrestleMania 19?
Total package, yes.
Yeah, the total overall, what was going
I
on in
think
the
so.
ring and outside of the ring with Kane coming in, the
And
story.
I can say that objectively because Jericho and Michaels is one of my favorite matches. So yeah, I would agree. That's a good spot.
It feels right.
Mm-hmm.
Spencer?
So 29?
Right. It would move up from 37 to 29.
Yeah, I personally would say this is even above Bockwinkel and Hennig. That's just my personal opinion. So I would put it 28.
28?
That's me.
You know what? Yeah, I agree with you. I would put it above Bockwinkel Hennig. It has a definitive finish.
So
Even if it's a screwy one.
You know, I don't enjoy a time limit draw.
But they did a really good job.
They did. It's a great match.
I love it because there's like a good 5 minutes of just Bockwinkel getting the shit beat out of him. But you just can't pin him.
I want to
You're
say
going back. I love this because you were going back and forth, Landon.
the reason I'm going back and forth is because I'm looking at the data. 7% of people believe that Bockwinkel and Hennig should actually be higher, but 9% believe it should be lower. So I feel like we sort of
Horizon over here.
we sort of Goldilocks the Bockwinkel Hennig match to me.
Well, and so 7% and 9% I don't think is high enough to even really
Take into consideration.
Yeah.
Well then, with 46% of people agreeing that Michaels and Taker is too low,
Including all 4 of us, apparently.
I think that means it has to go above Bockwinkel Hennig at 28.
Yeah, I agree. 28.
There we go. Okay, there are just a couple of other matches that we could just briefly touch on before we hit the big one. Cactus Jack, Triple H, and then Bret Hart and the British Bulldog. So those matches currently are 38 and 41 respectively. Any reason to think they should be higher?
Hart, Bulldog, I don't know if I would actually move it up higher. And my only really nitpick of that match is the fact that they had so many rest holds. It's for a good reason. And it's not just they stop for like 2 minutes and then they wrestle. Like, there's a very, very good reason why they do that, and it does kind of work into the story of the match a lot. I think knowing as much as I know behind the scenes just brings it down a little too much for me, and I cannot divorce like what I know about the behind the scenes versus I just cannot turn that part of my brain off and just watch it as purely a fan with no information. I know too many things about it that me personally, I would leave it right where it is.
Landon, either one of those feel like they need to be bumped up, or are they good where they at?
It's really difficult for me. I've got people over here looking at the comments. I've got people saying Cactus Jack versus Triple H deserves a spot in the top 10.
I disagree with that, but
No.
You know, and Bret Hart versus Bulldog deserves a spot in the top 20.
You're closer on that one than you are for the top 10 for the other one.
I can't. I'm sorry. Just my knowledge of what was going on behind the scenes, and the fact that literally a month later, Bulldog's not even the fucking company anymore. It takes too much away from it.
I agree with Paul.
Yeah,
it's a fantastic match. Would it have been better if Davey Boy was on the up and up? Oh, absolutely.
And I think one thing I would like to take into account is last season we did bump Cactus Jack and Triple H higher.
Yeah,
we did.
So how much higher are we going to be comfortable moving it? Understanding, this is the data. This is what the listeners are saying. It's just tough.
I would put it above Edge versus Mick Foley.
That's what I was about to say. If anything, I would swap those two or just put it right above it. No,
Yeah.
sorry. I would move right above that because that match is
talking
more
about
like
Cactus and Triple H.
Yeah,
for that.
same. I agree with that. My thing with that,
If we're moving into 35-36 territory, I would put it above DIY Revival. I personally think DIY Revival is too high.
I love how we thought that was the best match ever, and then we're kind of like, is it though?
Just while we're talking about DIY Revival,
I'm gonna say no. I think DIY Revival is where it should be, and because leaning on is a strong word, but I'll use it anyway. Cactus and Triple H was a lot of Gaga, right? It was a lot of outside of the ring. We're using this. We're doing this. We're doing that.
They're shortcuts.
DIY and Revival, dude, they're out there. They put on a clinic, a great tag match, which you don't see a whole lot of great tag matches,
sure,
especially now. So that's kind of my argument on that one.
Yeah, maybe that one stays. And speaking of DIY Revival, we had 0% of people say that match should go any lower.
So
we had people say it should go higher. So maybe that one does stay.
Yeah, I think it stays.
So what, we think Cactus Jack and Triple H deserves a bump to 36?
36. Yeah, 36.
Either that or you flip-flop them. So
I think I'm comfortable with both of those.
I don't know if I would move that match any like the Edge Foley. I don't know if I would move it down.
I don't know. I think I would. I think
you know what?
I think Liger and Muta, which is it's the in between over here. They're playing a little catch between those two. Maybe I would swap them because
I'm okay swapping them.
I think Liger and Muta,
fuck it,
maybe does tell a more fun story than what Edge and Foley did at WrestleMania 20.
Yeah, and they had more time. They didn't get to have a horror film as a match.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. So Edge and Foley goes down to 38, and Cactus Jack and Triple H go to 36.
It's crazy.
So
I'm gonna look at that.
It's on. You can watch it on YouTube. It's amazing.
So there you have it. Edge and Foley goes down to 38, and Cactus Jack and Triple H goes up to 36. So that's a pretty good switch.
That's it.
I feel good about it. But guys, I think this brings us to the big one.
Oh
here.
no.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
yes.
38% of people said that Triple H versus Shawn Michaels should be higher than number 3. So I think what we're going to do here in just a second, similarly to the season 2 finale, is we're going to all rank our top 3. Is that what we want to do? Rank our top 3, and then sort of almost like a point system, decide that way who is number 1. But let's talk it out first, and I want to hear from Korey, because Triple H, Shawn Michaels, I mean, we referenced it earlier, you don't think necessarily is worthy of that top spot. So let's hear you out on your thoughts on Triple H, Shawn Michaels, where it should stand.
We're not too far off of kind of what I was saying before, and maybe like again, you guys kind of throw the phrase around. What do you come to wrestling for? Like that ladder match, right? Or was it a street fight?
I think it was Three Stages of Hell, wasn't it?
No.
Non-sanctioned.
A non-sanctioned.
Oh, that was it. Non-sanctioned.
So street fight, basically, right?
Yeah. But they don't really lean into that until like 10 minutes into the match.
Right.
That's the match
like-
they just build as it goes.
Yeah, and you have, the sledgehammer shots and, Shawn's bleeding. They're both bleeding all over the place by the end of it. So, I mean, the story in and of itself is good. However, and maybe it's just me, like the use or maybe the excess use of weaponry throughout, it cheapens it to me. Whereas if you can get something, super clean all throughout, then I think you got to roll with it. So I don't have it in its current spot. I would actually go the opposite way. I would drop it a couple notches maybe. I mean, if we're going to break it down like that, Kenny and Okada could theoretically go there, but that stuff wasn't as central to their storytelling as much as it was just kind of thrown in the beginning, and then we move on and we have a full story of like everybody literally leaving it out in the ring. So
yeah, I hear you.
So what I want to say here is, we've done this at the end of every season.
Yeah.
And at the end of every season, our 1, 2, and 3 move around. Bret Hart and Steve Austin, Kenny Omega, Kazuchika Okada, Triple H, Shawn Michaels. We are splitting hairs at a microscopic scope.
And they've all taken a turn in that number one spot.
They really have.
Well, if you want to talk about splitting hairs, I mean, the most hair loss is in the Trip Shawn match. So.
No!
They're both bald now. Just saying.
So I kind of want to look at some comments.
Austin was always bald, but Brett still got a full head of hair.
I want to look at the comments. We've got 3 people who wrote in, please put Triple H versus Shawn Michaels at number 1.
Okay.
Okay.
And then what? So is that it? Or do we get some substance behind why they feel that way?
I didn't get any substance why they feel that way, but we got somebody who put it at number 2.
Okay. But here's the thing, though.
It would peak at 5 for me.
5?
Like if it's gonna be within top 5, it's at 5.
Spencer,
and that's a big if.
If Spencer had arms the size of yours, he would really be throwing punches at you right now.
No, he wouldn't.
No,
I guess it's my lucky day then.
I just love the story a lot, and I think
it's very good.
It is a
it's
great
very
story.
good.
I think that they do use weapons, and I think it both hurts and helps it. I think that sledgehammer shot after the bell is one of the when I think of biggest evil moments in professional wrestling, that makes the short list.
No,
That's
I agree.
That's another match where I feel like Jim Ross makes it on commentary, though.
Yeah,
It's
he
a
is
great match, but him on commentary, just his reaction to everything that happens, especially at the end, it sells it.
But at the same time, it's like Shawn was away for 4 years, right? And Triple H is at the top of the game at this point. So, thank you.
The game.
So,
this is right before Evolution.
So to me, it makes sense that Shawn's going to need the help with weapons to keep up with Triple H, who has been sort of peak performance for the last 2 or 3 years, whereas Shawn's been out of it for a while, that he might need that assistance, even though Shawn was arguably one of the greatest before his injury.
Okay, while you're making this point, while it's on my mind, who brought in weapons first?
Trips.
Was it Triple H?
Yeah, he used the chair.
To injure the back, to go after the back.
Yeah,
but he's a heel, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I totally get your point.
Like, the story is that he's been gone for 4 years, but the booking of the match is that he never left. Shawn, I mean.
Yeah.
Well,
Redemption.
guys, we've heard from the listeners. We know what the data says. We've deliberated. Let's do it. Let's rank your top 3 right now. And I'm, Paul and Spencer and I have done this before, so it's going to be nice having that weighted score with Korey Konstantine here. And Korey, by the way, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, dude, I love this stuff.
You got it?
Yeah,
Thinking
I
about
got it. I still get so bummed about the end to Rock Austin.
But we're going to talk about it in a couple minutes.
I know.
Okay, it seems like the votes have been tallied. Landon Corbin, break it down for us, sir.
Oh my god, guys!
I don't envy your job right now.
How could you do this to me?
Do what to you? Do what to you, Landon?
There is a clear winner. There is a clear, distinctive winner that got more points than the other two.
Oh, wow.
The other two, we have a tie.
Okay. Okay. Let's talk about it.
So, let's just go ahead and because I think it's very interesting that the one that got the most weighted, the highest weighted score, nobody put as number 1, but almost everyone put as number 2.
Okay.
And so if I have to go off of an average of everybody else, and let me just take a peek at what the listeners said. 7% of listeners would agree with us that it should go higher. Nobody said that it should go lower. So I think everyone is going to be overall pleased with coming out of season 3. The last match standing right now is Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada from Dominion. I mean, it's Omega Okada 4. You hear about it all the time.
For good fucking reason.
Everybody here thought it should be 2. No one else could really agree on what should be 1, what should be 2. And so for a tie in number 2, based on our scores, it's Triple H and HBK and Hart Austin. This is simply going off of, weighted scores. No one necessarily thought that this should be number 2. But just we have to sort of take an average of everyone's opinion. So is that the route we go?
So you're saying Okada Omega 1, Hart Austin 2, Hunter and Shawn 3, like based off of that?
That's what I would say.
Should the survey be the tiebreaker and put Shawn and Triple H at 2 and Austin and Hart at 3?
Ooh.
That's actually a difficult question to answer.
That's a very difficult question. I think...
Wait, so did everybody put Okada and Omega as number 2?
No, it's number 1.
No, I think we put it all as number 2, but that makes it the highest average score because...
now when you factor in the fans...
It's the highest average score because everyone put it at 2.
I
One
thought
person put it as 1.
I put it as number 1.
One person put it as number 1.
That was me.
So it makes it the highest average score. If
But wouldn't that just firmly cement it at number 2?
Possibly. But if
that is a route that we could go at. That is a route we could go, but I think what we're trying to do is take like the weighted average score. If we were to take the weighted average score, we all think that should be I don't know, it's difficult.
For me, I feel like we have nothing close to definitive, which has me leaning towards keep it as is. Which I make no bones about it. Want Shawn and Triple H to be 1, so that's not what's going to end up happening right now.
Ooh,
I wouldn't move Trips and Shawn and leave it at number 3.
But if I don't know, I just don't think that one of the 4 of us putting Okada Omega at 1 is enough to put it as 1 for the whole list.
I would just flip opinion. Okada and Okada Omega and Hart Austin. I would just flip those 2.
Then you would get your way, and it would be number 1.
True, but I also
I think
Trips and Shawn.
I would be remiss if we didn't look at the 38% of people, nearly half of our listeners, think that Triple H and Shawn Michaels should go higher. I think we need to take that into consideration.
Okay, fine. Okada Omega 1, Trips Shawn 2, 13-3.
Damn.
Look, nearly half the people who voted.
I'm not getting in on this.
Nearly half the people voting wanted it higher.
Yeah.
And a lot of people thought that
Landon, this is going to hurt your feelings, I think. It's where we're
It's
at.
nothing personal. I'm not doing this to piss you off. I'm like, we need to listen to the fans. That's what the people want.
I agree with Paul. 18% of our listeners say that Hart Austin should go lower, and 38% believe that Shawn Michaels and Triple H should go higher. Yeah. So, and we all just concretely said we think Omega Okada is number 2. So I think what makes the most sense is flipping our number 3 and number 1 match.
Wow.
Yeah. Man.
I know.
And we're going to do this again in 20 episodes. So, we'll see where things go then.
I think I'm going to be sick that day.
Did you find this difficult, Korey?
Yes.
We do this.
Yes.
We've done this 60 times now.
So.
Well, we've done this 3 times, but.
Once again, your last match standing out of 60 is Triple H versus Shawn Michaels from SummerSlam 2002. Can you believe it?
No.
Yeah, absolutely. I can believe it. It makes a ton of sense to me.
Between our discussion and between the fans, yeah, I can. Even if I don't completely agree with it, I got to understand that at the end of the day, the whole point of what we just did was, what do the listeners say? They're saying they clearly want this as number 1.
And hey, if you're listening to this and you absolutely don't agree and you're irate with this match being number 1, fill out the poll next time. And
fill out
definitely
the poll.
Keep an eye on these surveys.
Send in
and
your,
be sure
send
to
in
respond.
your own audio clip. Tell us why.
Oh yeah, we would love reactions. If
Yeah.
you guys want to send us any reactions via email, audio clips, whatever, we'd be happy to share them on the show.
Yeah, tell us why. Smack down your vote.
Love it.
So it's been a really, really fun season 3. Guys, we've had the most fun. I really, really enjoyed it. Korey, again, thanks a million.
Thank you
for joining us. But that leads us to the big question: what's next in season 4?
Gilbert.
No. And I'm going to tell you that if you want to find out what our first match is going to be for season 4, episode 61 of Last Match Standing, you're going to have to pay some attention to Elevate Pro on Twitter. That's at ELEV8PRO on Twitter. Super, super grateful to be able to partner with them right now. It's an incredible, incredible promotion here in Louisiana. They are going to have the scoop on our season 4 premiere. So make sure you give them a follow on Twitter to find out what season 4, episode 1 is going to be next time you hear from us.
And if you want to check out some of their stuff, I mean, absolutely phenomenal talent at Elevate. You've got guys like Korey Konstantine, like Dale Springs.
Oh, man.
And the best part is that it doesn't matter if you live in Louisiana or Florida or New York or overseas. You can view their stuff on YouTube, which is fantastic.
Absolutely.
Also, you can view older stuff on the Fight app.
Absolutely, yeah. There's archive footage on the Fight app. Go check it out, guys.
Really
Phenomenal
good stuff.
wrestling.
You heard that Serpentico guy. Yeah, he makes a lot of appearances.
Fantastic. Yeah, we recently saw a match with Serpentico.
Sorry.
Yeah. Super good. Super good.
Yeah, Fight follows me on Twitter.
Sweet.
There you go.
Yeah.
So,
No, they fucking do. I'm like, wait, what?
thank you so much.
What a great season 3 finale last
That
night.
was it.
That was my announcement, guys. Fight's following me on Twitter now.
Thanks to everyone.
So is Sean Stasiak.
Thanks to everyone for filling out the surveys.
Don't know why.
Thanks for all of the interaction throughout season 3. We can't wait for the best that is yet to come in season 4. Until then, I'm Spencer.
I'm Paul.
I'm Landon.
I'm Korey Konstantine.
And this is
Last Match Standing.